So what is directory search? So directory search looks at what you've had configured in your department. And again, the department tree information that's in here will be either manually maintained by you, or it will be automatically updated by our cube system that runs in the background and automatically updates it. So what does the directory search do? Well, it allows you to search by endpoint or by what we call directory view here. So I'm going to start by looking at our endpoint view. So what this means is that this view is endpoint centric. So everything here starts with the endpoint, and then you can apply additional columns, etc. over here.
So in the simplest sense, this is anything that we've loaded data into Prism for.
Correct, yeah. So any phone numbers that we've learned, it doesn't necessarily have to have a tree path. It doesn't need to be in your directory. This is endpoint centric. So all of your endpoints, and then any additional information that we have about the endpoint here. So to add a column in here, so say I want to find out more information, if I click on the little eye in the bottom right hand corner here, I can then add additional columns about that phone number. So it could be that I want the level 1, the level 2, or the level 3 of the department they're in. Maybe I want to know what region, what country group they're in here. These are all custom fields here. So, if we've got custom fields of their call queue or their voicemail type, you can add all of these columns in here.
And I notice obviously on the columns, unlike our quick search, we've got a filter button there.
Yep, so on here you can filter on an individual column. So you could say, right, I'm only interested in where level 1 is not blank, for example. So this is a good use of the column search. So you can say, right, give me everything in here where the column is not blank. And here you go, it will then go through and search that particular column and give me all the information here. It will then tell me all of the columns, and then I can export over here as well, because I may want to, move this onto a slightly different system.
And I saw a really good example there where you had unknown department, for example, as the organisation group.
Yep.
This is a great quick search tool where actually you could put the filter on where it's an unknown department.
Yep.
Why is that extension not correctly allocated in your directory? So it can be used to help strengthen your directory in a very quick, simple way.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is you can get the information then out in Excel to try and then work out more. So it's more difficult when you're looking as a tree in Prism. So if you're going into the directory and you're looking at it, you're going, right, click down, click down, click down. Having this then as an export allows you then to, start to work on the data. So we do have a quick filter at the top here as well. So the quick filter just allows you to quick search across all columns, okay? So it doesn't matter which column you've got set on the screen. This search here searches across all columns that you have selected.
But obviously, I think it's worth noting it doesn't take any filters off the columns you've already put on.
No, it just searches across all the columns that you've got selected in the bottom window here. You can reorder your columns. It is a simple drag and drop, and this will remember the column selection when you next come back into the screen, okay? And it is specific to your login, okay? So whatever you do to this screen does not affect any other user on the system. It's all tied to your user. So when I come back into here, it will be exactly as I left it.
So the columns you added as well as the order?
Yep, the order, the columns I added, unless you want to reset them. And then there is a reset button down here, which will then reset everything back to the, call it factory defaults.
Yeah.
Okay, in here for you as well. So you do have the ability to reset, add,
go back in. And obviously, I think the other thing is, because it's forgotten at times, you can turn some of these columns off as well.
Yeah,
the same way you can turn them on. If you actually only want 2 columns, which is the extension number and do we know what department it's from,
yep,
just have those 2 columns if that's all you need.
Yep. And then, as I said, exporting it to then do some work externally to then, add more value back into Tiger by going off and fixing things. Because it could be you export it from here, go into your Azure AD or your Active Directory and actually go and fix some things in here. Okay. Yeah. A lot of the things that we notice when we're doing setups and, when we're looking at people's data, spelling mistakes and things like that, you could get a list of all your spelling mistakes from in here where you've gone through and gone, oh yeah, look, I can search for a department where it's spelled 3 or 4 times, slightly different wording on it, and and I can realign it to make it all the same. So that's the endpoint view where it's endpoint centric. It could be you want it by the directory view, so it's directory centric. So what this means is it will only contain directory information and then the phone numbers that are assigned in here. So
and Matt, I know we've covered directories before, but can you just explain a little bit more what directory centric is? Where's that driven from?
Sure. So the directory is driven by either, I said, manually you creating it. So what a directory is, so if I exit out of here and just go into what we call the directory, so it's under the enterprise and into here, and you've got your departments, and this is the tree version of what we just looked at. So in here you'll have all the trees here on the left hand side, and then when you go into a department you'll have all the phones in here. So it's just what we were looking at on the other screen is just a line by line of what you're seeing here on the screen. And
we're taking this from a connector that the customers provided us, right?
Correct, yeah. So we connect it either with Cube to a source to go and get this information, whether this be Azure AD, it could be your phone system we connect to.
You might send us a file.
Yeah, it could even be a spreadsheet. So it may be, we did a one-off import into your system when we did the installation. You could then export it from what we just looked at, do all your updates and provide us an updated Excel file that we can then re-import back into the system to make all your moves and changes for you as well.
I think that's a fair point, actually. I mean, we know that with some customers, that's what they did. They got one directory.
Yeah.
It's something that we do well, and we actually automate with the use of our in-house Cube tool.
Yeah.
We allow flat files, as I call them, to be uploaded to a specific SFTP location. Mm-hmm. You can do that daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, however often you want, and we will go and retrieve the file and we will update your directory for you. Basically, that's obviously for hosted. On-premise, slightly different, but the same still largely. You would just put it in a different location.
Yeah, and if it is that, on your on-premise system that, it is being manually updated and you need to make a massive amount of changes, you could use directory search. You could do a one-off export. You can do it all in Excel and then just tell us that, you need to then re-import this back over the top. And we can work with you to do that. So rather than sitting in here and going, right, I need to move this extension to here, and I need to then go and move this one to there, and taking time to go through and do it. If you've got hundreds of changes that need to be made, that may be the quickest way.
Yeah. And look, sorry, I know we're here to talk about about searching, about getting to data in Prism today, but I just think it's worth mentioning because it's quite a complex area, directories, and how we and building it and the information we need to help you build it. And
and as we go into the next part, when we're looking at the call information, etc., you'll see how that is very much tied to what you're seeing on the screen as well. So the difference being between when you're looking at your dashboards or your reports, not so much the quick search because it doesn't really use the directory as well, but definitely with dashboards and reports and exports as well, it's relying on this data to tell us what department they're in. So when you go into a report or into a dashboard, you're using this data to add context. So what you're looking at is if I want to run a report on service management, I can choose that department and it's gathered all that information from the source, and it then combines all the information into the service management and lists all the endpoints, etc. here to give you totals for that department. Whereas analytics doesn't use the directory, it's just a free search throughout the entire database.
Okay, thank you. So let's go back to directory search. I just think it's good to have a little bit more base knowledge sometimes.
Sure. So again, you've got the two parts here that allow you to do your searching and then your exporting up the top here. So whatever you've got selected on the screen is what gets exported. So if you do want to do, as Richard said, you want to go and look at all your unknown ones that are in here, you can go and select those, right click, or sorry, click on the three dots here and click export to Excel, and that will then export the 73 rows that you've got selected on the screen.